Single leg Romanian deadlifts are one of the best accessory exercises for working out your hamstrings. So, in this episode of Total Body Training, I'm going to teach you how to do a resistance band single leg Romanian deadlift. I'm also going to go over a few do's and don'ts with the deadlift and common mistakes that I see when people single leg Romanian deadlift. Welcome back to Total Body Training. I'm John Carlos, and if you haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, please click the subscription button. On this channel, we go over fitness tips, trends, and tutorials to help you stay informed and get in shape. On with the tutorial. Single leg Romanian deadlifts work out your hamstrings. You're also going to feel it somewhat in your glutes and your low back and in your entire body because it is a compound movement. So when you're doing it, you're engaging everything. That's how you know you're doing it right. Do not feel alarmed if you feel your low back getting activated. The common thing that I hear from people is that they get scared about doing a deadlift because they feel their back getting warm. Warmth in the low back indicates that you're using it. However, needling sensations means that something's wrong, and so you might want to stop what you're doing and look at your form again. So the first thing you're going to do is step into the center of the band with the foot that you plan on keeping on the ground. Then you are going to adjust your other foot back, and you're going to grab the edges of the band. Now you can either grab the band overhanded, like this, from this position, which is perfectly fine, holding it like this, or you can hold it with a hoop grip. Just make sure that if you're holding it with a hoop grip, that you're actually gripping this part of the band and the band isn't slipping to the top part of your fingers, or it's not slipping down onto your wrist, that you're nicely grabbing it there when doing it. But I prefer to actually hold it with this position. It's fine for me, but for people who lack grip strength, that version might be better for them or for you. The next thing you're going to do is stand up very straight, squeeze your lats, pack your lats is what we call it, where it looks kind of like you're almost like Johnny Bravo, if you know what I'm talking about, where you're kind of arching your spine forward and then you're taking your shoulder blades and pinching them in the back and packing your back muscles tight and rolling your shoulders back, so you're gonna have a very open position. The next move will be the hinge. Now, a deadlift is a hip hinge movement, so that's where you are bending over at the waist, not bending the leg like you do when you squat. So the next thing you're going to do is hip hinge. You will start to bend over while also at the same time picking up your back leg. This is where you have to do a little bit of a balancing act with the deadlift, so make sure you're taking your time when you're doing it. There's no rush with these. You wanna make sure that your entire body from head to toe is moving at the exact same time. So the leg that is coming up should be in line with your head if possible. Now there are variations of this, but I have a background in powerlifting and I like to do a lot of yoga. So for me, my single leg Romanian deadlifts feel better when I do mine as though I'm doing what in yoga we might call an airplane pose. So it will take some balance. There are modifications for this exercise, but this is how I personally feel that it works best for me and works out my hamstrings the best. As you start to hinge at the waist, you will want to keep the other leg, the leg that you're balancing on, very flat against the ground. The outer edge of your foot that is closest to the foot that is now up in the air will feel as though it's going to start to peel. Foot is going to feel as though it's creeping up like this. The band is literally going to start to push you in this direction to try to autocorrect what you're doing. And what you need to do is bury your toe mounds, the top part of your big toe, the mound of that section of your foot into the ground, and try to keep your foot very firm on the ground as you're bending over so you don't get ripped off of the ground when you're doing it. That was something that I noticed, and it gets harder as your legs start to get a little bit tired, so just keep that in mind. Some common mistakes in the deadlift are not really hip hinging, so people will do a deadlift and really it just looks like they're rounding their spine when they're doing it. We want to keep a nice, very flat back when we're doing the movement. This is a balancing pose, as I mentioned before, so go easy on yourself. Sometimes I see people doing this and they're rushing through the process, so they look hunched over, kind of like a caveman or something like that. It just doesn't look right. So make sure that you're keeping your whole entire back from top down all the way to your legs engaged very firmly. If your back gets loose, your upper back will tend to round more easily. So that's probably the biggest common mistake. If you're struggling with balancing in the movement, I would recommend that you try doing the movement without bands or without dumbbells. Starting the movement without any kind of weight is a really great way to wrap your mind around the idea of balancing yourself when doing the deadlift. Resistance band single leg Romanian deadlifts are a little bit difficult for myself. I find that the barbell or the dumbbell version of the same exercise is a little bit easier. It's easier for me to counterbalance when I'm using those. So if you're new to this and you've got some dumbbells around the house, you might want to try giving those a shot first before actually giving the banded version of this exercise a shot, just because it's a little bit easier to do it with those dumbbells. Now, as I mentioned before, this is a hamstring exercise, but it's also working out your low back and your glutes. If you don't feel it in your hamstrings, then chances are that you are bending your leg too much, so it might look like you're squatting, or you're not going far enough with the movement or keeping your leg very straight while doing it. I would continue to try to hip hinge more and try to balance yourself out more as you're doing the movement. A real quick tip is that as you're doing it, if you feel like you're going to fall or you feel like you're struggling with your form, you can start off by doing the deadlift just a little bit at a time. So let's say that this is you and you're bending over. Maybe you stop right here the first time that you do the movement, and the next time you go a little bit further, and the next time you're already parallel at the ground. All right, and what you're doing is now you're warming up your hamstrings. And once you've gotten to that place where you feel like you're parallel to the ground and you feel it in your hamstrings, I would say that that's when you can start calling those actual reps. So let's say you had a set of 10 and the first 3 were you kind of like edging towards balancing. Don't count those because you don't really feel it. It's very easy to cheat when you're doing these. It's very easy to do them wrong. And if you're doing them wrong, you're not really getting anything out of the exercise and you're wasting your time in the gym. Single leg Romanian deadlifts can be very effective in helping you grow your hamstrings and strengthen them, but only if you do the movement right. So make sure you're using the proper technique when doing your single leg Romanian deadlift. Question of the day: what hamstring accessories are you using right now? There are all sorts of exercises that you can do for your hamstrings: conventional deadlifts, sumo deadlifts, leg curls, dumbbell leg curls. Let me know what you're doing to grow your hamstrings. Let me know down in the comments section below. I always answer all of the comments that I get down here on Total Body Training, so please leave your thoughts down in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the thumbs up button, and if you'd like, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It goes a long way in helping me grow what I'm trying to provide here at Total Body Training. Until next time, peace. Working out from home can be boring. Whether it's the fact that you don't have proper weightlifting equipment, or you're sick and tired of using pre-recorded workout videos that lack motivation and proper instruction that is geared towards you. If you find yourself in one of those categories, look no further than Total Body Training. We've got you covered with our online weightlifting from home program. That's right, we teach you in a virtual classroom how to work out and lift weights for you at your current level and where you want to be at in the next 6, 12 months. Where do you want to be at by the end of this year? We've got you covered with our online weightlifting program. So if you're interested, read the description section of this video to learn more about how you can start lifting weights from home with us today.